We are going to discuss about exam cheating in Kenya in the last 50 years. Exam cheating in Kenya in the last 50 years from 1975 to 2025. I did my CPE. I know somebody will say you have forgotten to say KCPE. Ours was CPE. I did my CPE Standard 7 in 1975. I can authoritatively say that 1975, there was zero cheating in exams. There was zero cheating in exam because of two reasons. One, which is applicable to the CP of 1975, is that when a new style of exam is brought in, the first few exams, usually there is no cheating because people have not known the loopholes. People have not known the loopholes. Like now we have CAPSEA and so on and so forth. You'll find that cases of stealing exams in CAPSEA is zero. But a few years down the line, people will have examined it very well and come up with a way of exam cheating. In 1975, we did CP like those who did in 74, 73, 72. But there was a slight change in the exam that year. So that is why, as I've said, we did not cheat. The other reason for exam not being there not being cheating is if you have a very strong, uh, usually, I don't know, maybe there is more than the minister, but a person like Matiang'i when he was minister for education, people are saying that Matiang'i's C is stronger than a B before Matiang'i. So those are the two reasons that exams can't be cheated because of the strong person heading it or people heading it. And the other reason is starting of a new program that people have not yet known the loopholes. I do remember 1975, I did my CP at Mbagathi Road Primary School. The famous Mariwandaka was my classmate, and they were changing the answer sheet for the year 1974 and 1975 was different. We are the first team that started the oval ABCD. Those who did in 1974, 73, and 72 used to have a square. A square. It is ABCD square. So you just draw with a pencil or a biro what you wanted, a straight line. But we started shading. I don't want to go into the style of shading because everybody knows it, and it would take time because I had been taught by my private tuition teacher about shading, and I had told our class. And then the headmaster came, he came up with a different shading, and the students really vilified me for some time. But later on, Mr. Moses Moreithi was informed, and he came up with a new style, which was kept there for several decades. And I became a star in our school. They said, so you you have an ear to the ground. So 1975, there was no stealing, at least CP. The next level of examination was Form 2. Form 2, which was called KJSE, Kenya Junior Secondary Examination. I have never known how the exams were conducted. I have never known how it was marked. and I've never had an opinion whether it is stolen or anything, because it is like commenting on, let's say you don't speak French, and then you comment on a subject of French. You say this year's exam of French was easy or hard, because the only thing you'll know from the question paper is the heading, Kenya National Examination Council French uh, language for 2025. That is the only way, the thing you'll know. But when they write all the other things, you'll not understand. So KJC, I never knew it. KJC was done by people, by three types of people. KJC was done by people in private schools. KJC was done by people in Harambe schools. And KJC was done by people in government schools who are using it as a backup. Because if you failed in your Form 4 exam, the only certificate you would be having is a primary certificate of primary education, CPE. So some tended to do KJC privately as a backup. And another thing that used to assist the KJC used to assist people is that after the Form 3, Form 2, there are some people who were not interested in education. There are some people who died. There are some people, and there's a reason. Even today, they say that it is 100% transition. It is almost impossible for all those people who joined Form 1 to complete Form 4. There must be a vacancy. So with your KJC, you'd have reason to join a government school in Form 3. But as I said, I have no opinion on KJC. Even today, if you ask me what is a pass mark in KJC, I do not know. I did not know. So from KJC, that is Form 2, the next one was Form 4. Form 4, our time, you see, I'm among the last people who did East African Examination Council, and I'm among the first people who started the NEC. I was there during my transition. If you look at my Form 4 certificate, it was set by East African Examination Council. And if you look at my Form 6 certificate, it was marked, it was given by Kenya National Examination Council. So the exam for Form 4, that was the next after KJC. I did it in 1979. If I remember very well, that is the first time I ever saw and participated in exam cheating. I've told you two things. That is the first time I saw. That is different from participating, isn't it? You can see but not participate. But I'm talking of seeing and participating. I do remember that I was very good in maths. And if you know anybody who used to do the Form 4 ordinary level maths, and you ask him or her about people who did double maths in Form 4, that is mathematics alternative S and additional maths. Of the subjects I did two maths. There was maths alternative S and I did additional maths. So out of the 120 students who did Form 4 in my school, I am among the about 10 who did additional maths. And we used to have friends, genuine friends who wanted to practice maths with us. You see, I think it is even still there today, where you find that if you are good in one subject, people befriend you so that you start doing practice with them to an extent that you uplift their mathematics. Nothing is easier than a fellow student coaching you for maths. Maths, I started doing it well in primary because I remember at Mbagathi Road Primary School, we had a teacher called A.B. Kamau. Mr. Kamau used to tell people that he was so busy to do maths that he used to tell students that if a certain math is hard for you to get, he would tell you to come and see me. And if I failed, then we would both of us go to see Mr. A.B. Kamau. So I was very good in maths. And I did maths in my Form 6. So I was so good in maths in Form 4 that a student came to me. He came to me, wanted us to do certain maths. Now, this is what happened, that I am a believer in, I don't know how we'll go about it in this CAPSEA thing, the new CBC system, but I've always encouraged the people to do more revision on the last 10 or so years exam of the same paper. I even remember my kids, I started revising with them KCPE for the last 10 years before they sat. Unfortunately, they were sick in April. One went to ICU, and the day he was sick, school textbooks were stolen, including the detailed structure that I'd set for revision. I'm very sure if he would not have been sick and if the structured thing would not have happened, my son would have hit 390 and above. That one I'm sure, because I had coached him on that line. I've always believed in somebody doing the last 10 years exam. In Kenya, we examiners are very, very lazy, whereby even professional exams, you find that like the police, they say you are the OCS Kakamega, and then after 2 years, they bring another exam. The same, they say you are the OCS Kisumu, but the question is the same. So they usually go to the past papers. So this person came to me and told, I mean, we had demanded and we were given 2 weeks, which we said study leave. We said that the teachers should not even come to class. We should study on our own so that the teachers stay in the staff room. When you are unable to solve a problem is when you go to the class, to the subject teacher for advice. That is what we demanded and we were given. So somebody would come with the mathematics and say, how do we solve this? We used to solve. But then there is somebody who came to me and told me, can we talk about, is it hexagon, whatever, those. I just looked at because I had the last 10 years exams, and I saw no year did any of those kina hexagon came in. Pentagon, hexagon, nini. I told him, no. Let us not waste time on a subject that will never come. He went away disappointed until we did the exam. Now, in a class, we used to be 25 at Nairobi Technical, 25 per class. And during exam, it was spread such that each room had 15 people. And then me and him were placed in I remember it was in the physics lab. And in any subject, anybody who comes out very fast, I saw it also on TV the other time when a principal was saying that an invigilator had told him that one of his students was clearing exam 40% of the time allocated. So those people who come out early are two types. One, they know everything, or two, they know nothing. Somebody just writes his name there and goes. So if you see somebody coming out very early, he either knows everything or he knows nothing. So in my case, since I was the mathematician in technical high school, I came out early, and this gentleman followed me almost immediately. So that is 100, around 15 meters from you know, when you enter the exam room, you are only allowed to enter in with the basics. Pencil, pen, geometrical set, such things. You are not allowed to carry any other thing. Any bag you have, you leave it at the door. So as I picked my bag, he also picked his bag. He called me over, said, habari mzuri. He told me, let me look at your uh, question paper. Uh, I don't know why I didn't tell him, but you also have your question paper. No. For reasons that I even don't know today, I showed him my question paper. And then that same minute, he removed a photocopy. And I looked at it, is that before he entered the classroom, before he entered the exam room, he had a photocopy of that. Meaning that if he would have come out to me and told me that, maybe, I don't know, I can't predict, but if he would have convinced me a week to exam, we would have studied that one, and then maybe, I don't know, maybe I would have gotten a distinction because I got a high pass. Now, if I would have, I got a high pass, and that is that a high credit, not high pass, a high credit. Now, if I would have said that one, maybe I would have gotten a distinction. But anyway, all the same, I went to Form 5 and did maths. That was the sign that the exam had been stolen. I was just shocked when I saw it was the exact thing. It was a black and white photocopy. Those years we didn't have colored photocopies. It was exact that one. He had had the East African Certificate of Education exam question in a photocopy more than a week before we sat it. And that is why he was asking me for things like, is it pentagon, hexagon, such a thing, and I had brushed it. That is what I saw. And then again, that very exam, you know me, I sat privately for commerce. I sat privately for commerce. The reason for sitting for privately for commerce was this. I had wanted, and somebody had recently told me that you cannot compare Division 3, strong Division 3 with C plus, because C plus takes you to university and strong Division 3 used to take you to high school, yani Form 5, Form 6. But this is what used to, and I referred to him because the way he was talking, he appeared to be somebody knowledgeable. I told him, I referred him to the Form 5 application form, because if you applied for Form 5, it used to be strictly for the subjects that you're going to study in the university. So it was a sort of a diploma course, because even in university, you used to go for 3 years instead of 4 years. So if you completed A levels, it's like you left university on your first year. So second year, third year, and fourth year is what you didn't do. That is how it was. So when I was going to join Form 5, I was made to understand that for you to do economics, you must have sat for commerce in O level. So I applied to do commerce privately. Now we were around 6 people. We were about 6. Is it 6 or 9? Anyway, less than 10 who had applied privately to do commerce for the East African Certificate of Education. And then the East African Examination Council had come up with a solution, with a timetable. This is how they had come up with a timetable. You know, there are those subjects that they are very sure somebody cannot, 2 people cannot do it. In this case, they were sure that if you are in a technical school, you cannot do commerce. If you're in a technical school, you cannot do commerce. So they were sure of that. So what they did is at the time when technical students were doing technical subjects is when they had placed commerce there. They had placed commerce there. On the day that technical schools were doing two subjects, uh, the first one was geometrical, okay, you can call it geometrical drawing, but we used to call it technical drawing. Uh, we were doing it in the first lesson, and then the second lesson we were doing another technical subject. So these people came up and knew, that technical schools cannot do commerce. So it was fixed there. It was fixed there. We were to do this from 8, from 8 to 9, 2 hours, no, 8 to 10. Yeah, from 8 to 10, you are to do technical drawing. Then at 10, the second, you know the technical facilities and any facilities in class, because you find that during my time in Form 4, a classroom used to be composed of 25 students, but in an exam we used to be 15. So 10 would be taken elsewhere. And if the school had, let's say, six streams, you'd find that during the exams, we could have even 9 or even 10 rooms to be. So instead of being 25 in the class, we would be 15 to have space so that people do not steal exams from there or do not collude. So in a technical subject, they had marked, the examination council had marked it that in such a way that they had marked it in such a way that we were divided into two. The first lot, the first lot entered the classroom, the exam room at 8 and completed the exam at 10. The second group entered at 10:30 for 2 hours and left at noon past 12:30. That is the first paper. Then those who did it in the morning would come up at 1, do the second exam. That end up at 3. And this other one would come at 3:30 and do the exam from 3:30 to 5:30. Those are two exams. Every candidate would have attended the exam for two subjects. But then the East African Examination Council had known that students from technical schools would not do commerce. They had fixed commerce there. So it reached a time when we sat down and talked to the invigilators with the students, the school teachers. I hear nowadays if a school teacher, it's only the principal who is allowed to be in the school. Any teacher being there would be a problem. But during our time, teachers used to be there. Uh, the students, the teachers, plus the invigilators, we had a meeting where it was decided that the 6 of us, 6 to 9, I don't know how many, but we were few. Let's say 9. The 9 of us, we agreed that we automatically sit for uh, the technical drawing from 8 to 10. Then from 10:30, we rushed to one classroom, which was not even marked or anything. Uko corner near the school canteen. We were taken to that place for our commerce. Then completing commerce, we would come again to that room and do the second exam. It is very hard for a student to do 2 exams in a day, but we were doing 3. Meaning that the 9 of us, assuming that we were 9, we would go to class. The 9 of us would go to the technical drawing room because we had very different desks from the normal one. Do the technical drawing from 8 to 10. Then 10:30, we are in that classroom next to the school canteen. I nearly called it police canteen. near the school canteen, where we would do, now that is 10:30 up to 12:30, we would do the commerce paper. And then at 1 p.m., we are back in the technical room doing an exam up to 3 p.m. Now from 8 to 3 p.m., saa mbili mpaka saa tisa, we have only had 2 breaks of half an hour each to do whatever we wanted to do. Now here is the issue now, because today we are talking about exam cheating. When we completed the first topic, that is technical drawing, we went to that classroom. We I don't know who raised that matter, but whoever raised it, we all joined together. It is an idea that everybody has. It is an idea that everybody has. So just one person starting it, and all of us tunaingilia like a mob justice. Everybody now enters in it with like a mob justice, and we talk about it. This is when somebody somebody told the invigilator was a lady, an Indian lady. She was young. She was young. I think she had just graduated the other time, because age-wise she was slightly older than us. She was in our age range, so I think she could just have graduated the other time, and she was still new in teaching. We told her briefly, because I have to summarize it. We told her that we are doing we asked her, is it fair for anybody to do 3 papers in a day? She told us no. She even told us whatever we are doing is inside the 2 hours. There is that big S which says starts at this time and ends and stops at this time. So we told her this is a very unfair exam to us, because one, in a technical school, we were reading commerce on our own. We were doing reading commerce on our own. And it has come on the day when we had other 2 subjects. So we told her, Madam, just imagine that we are having 3 subjects from 8 to 5. We are going to be very busy and very tired. And this subject here, we have not been taught. We have been teaching ourselves. We have been doing whatever. So she said, in brief, what do you want us to do? We told her we wanted to read from our textbooks. She looked around nervous, and then she told us to discuss it among ourselves. And we were discussing, nobody would believe that it was an exam room because of 2 things. Nobody would believe it is an exam room because of 2 things. One, I said it was far away near the canteen, that somebody could not associate exam going there. I remember even some Form 1 to Form 3 were making noise near there, and they were chased at people are doing exams. And they were confused, because these people who were supposed to do exam, they were discussing. The other thing is we were very few. I mean, it was I hope you get my picture. So the exam was in 2 parts. Part 1 was the compulsory one, which had the A to D, where you ask the question and then you choose is it A or B or C or D, which accounted for, is it 40 marks? Yeah. It was 20 questions, and each correct answer accounted for 22 points. So we discussed the way we were discussing. In fact, if anybody would have told me, I would not have believed it. But you see, I was there. So we went to question number 1, asked. We I remember the textbook I had was called Essentials of Commerce, 5 Essentials of Commerce by S.A. Butt. So we said question 1, we agreed. Of the 20 questions, we all agreed the answer is this, the answer is this, this answer is this. Then we went to the part 2. Part 2 was a compulsory part. No, not compulsory, optional. Part 1 was compulsory, but part 1 was just 20 questions, which you answered. The question number 1 is A, whatever, B, whatever. But when it came to part 2, we had how many questions? Is it 6? Yeah, it was 6, but you had to choose 4. You had to choose 4. So we sat down, and the Asian teacher came and told us that first of all, when we were still in the option of the 20, there are some questions we didn't agree. There was the question number 1, we agreed this, but there were a few questions which we didn't agree. Some people are saying the answer is C, the others are saying the answer is B. Then she told us, those who believe the answer is B, mark B. Those who believe it is C, mark C. That is the section that was compulsory, and that is the question, that is the part that was that had such questions. But part 2, we had 6. Is it 6? Can't recall. That is uh, 79 is how many years to date? So it's 21 plus 24. That is 45 years ago. So kindly understand. So part 2 was now where you choose. So people chose. She just came randomly and said the first person avoid question 2, second avoid question 3. So we didn't want to be seen as if we all chose for the same 4 subjects, for the 4 same questions, and each question we were going out for 20 marks. So when we went for 20 marks, each question had 20 marks uh, for it to make it 80, and the other one, which was compulsory, 20 to make it 100. So what we did was we started discussing. We started discussing. Question number 1, she told us to discuss the way people discuss it, and then after we have discussed that, we agreed on what it was. Then somebody, you know, it was a composition. You explain in your own words. That is what we were saying. Explain in your own words. So after we have discussed and we agreed that that is whatever. All in fact, if you are not answering question number 2, you participated in it. So that those people answering that particular question would now write in their own words what they understood with that. We wrote that, and you see, we were talking. Imagine, I know you won't believe it. I won't even believe it myself. As I said, I'm only believing it because I was there. So we were talking while looking into the books and whatever. We were having those books on our table. Then from there we wrote, and we even counter checked. We even gave each other. You give me your question, your answer sheet. Say, yeah, it represents the answer. So we were sure. We were sure that all of us would get distinction in commerce. We were sure we would all get the distinction in commerce. Then we went for the second with the third paper, and I'm sure the third paper we did it with a lot of confidence because we were sure that we are in commerce we had passed. When the results came, when the results came, uh, all of us got okay. You may not understand it, but I think only 2 got 8. During our time, if you get an 8, it's just like, is it D minus? 1 or 2 got an 8, but the rest of us got a 9. Complete failure. Later on, as an intelligence officer, I tried to investigate that, but I was told that there was a time when what do you call, examination council decides that if they suspect that you had done something wrong in the exam, they marked 2 or 3%, and that is when you get an E in that subject. So what I got in commerce basically is what an 844 can call an E. In 1981, I did my Form 6. It was in a boarding school, Bungoma High School. So I did my Form 6 in Bungoma High School, and the number of Form 6 was so few in that school. And that is, Form 6, we were very few. We were, I don't think we even reached 20. If I start counting them, I don't think we have reached 20. And you see, we are 20 in Form 6, and you have not talked about the subject because we had around 6 subjects. So you take a combination of any three of that. If 1981 there was any if there was any uh, cheating or anything, I don't know, because in our school it was so little that during an exam, like let me say an exam like what can I say? There are four of them, but let me say maths. Maths. When I was doing my advanced level mathematics, I think we was 5 or 6. Now, five in a classroom, you cannot stay. You are one is at the other end, other, so it was not possible. If it was stolen from another place, I do not know. I would want to say that from there, 1981, 82, I joined the police, and I spent most of my time in the intelligence. The intelligence I gathered is that the initial exam cheatings in the 80s and whatever, I don't know where things changed. I think the idea has just come as I was shooting this. You know, previously, and that is maybe where CBC is headed, it was a fight for an individual exam. An individual exam. You can see the last 2 days that on TV they are announcing students who got an A of 84 points, an A of 83 points, such and such a thing. That is what is happening now. But it reached a place where people were fighting to have, it reached a place where people were fighting to have their schools leading schools and the districts. Yeah, that is when it changed. But let me tell you how it was when I was working and how it changed to then. You know, there are two styles here, if you can bear with me. Uh, the initial one was for an individual to steal. And that one, I'm not trying to encourage, but that one is a bit better because if I'm staying here and I have an exam leakage, I would collect my neighbors' kids and coach them on the leakage. You see, one kid is from this school, another one from this school. And so that one is a bit hard for, that is a bit hard for the National Examination Council to know. But then later on, it became a school-centered, a school-centered. For example, Tenge High School. Hey, by the way, there is a school called Tenge High School. You know, my name is Tenge. Tenge means, Tenge means son of Tenge. In Baringo, there is a school called Tenge. I should be there one day to claim it. Now, I'm using the name Tenge High School for the simple reason that my name is Tenge. I'm not trying to connect that school with that. I'm only connecting it because it has my name. Now, let us take an example. Initially, if I had an exam leak, I would call students from my neighborhood and coach them how to steal exams. Now, one would be from Capropita, another one would come from Sericho, another one would come from Tenges, another one. So that way, it's a bit hard to steal exam. But later on, school-based exam stealing started, and I'll tell you why. School-based exam cheating started, and this is what used to happen. And that is why you find even today, this thing that they call school prayer day has been banned or something, and even parents are banned from visiting schools in the third term. A parent, the school principal would go to Mutiani house and get the exam leak. So in those so-called school prayer days, there was a budget. The principal would say, we would call parents and tell them. Those days we didn't have, people used to have kabambe, so you could not record the principal. The principal would say that we have had a budget where by the person who gave me the leakage from Mutiani house needs so much money. Those invigilators coming here, they'd require so much money. And that is how during the school prayers for our candidates, their prayers would be answered That is how their prayers would be answered. Because parents would raise that money and give it to the principal. And then the principal would dish out the way it has been calculated. And when he dishes, the results come, the school has passed, then the prayers that you had on the prayers day would have been fulfilled. That is how it came to be. Uh, I have had a problem communicating with the people who watch me or something, where they say that I appear to be justifying some things. But anyway, as a criminology, I would say this student-based stealing is a bit because if I get it, I distribute from different schools. But I later learned that a trick was discovered whereby the examination markers would notice that students from one examination center were answering in a certain given lineage. So that one they would know. For example, we have 15 index. 10 of them are answering in the same line. So the examiners would. But supposing I had leaked to 10 students from different school and they gave. Uh, and you see, some of these leakages I would give for students who are not even from the same town, not from the same town. So it is easier to determine exam leakages that are done in one examination center. And what led into people changing from one examination center to another one? It is because things became based on promotion for teachers, promotion for principals, and so on, was centered on school performance, where the subject teacher or even the school principal would say that my school, they got the 2020, they got mean average, mean score of 6.1, then the following year 6.5, such and such. The exam was, in addition to students, I produced the best student nationally. I produced the best student provincially. I produced the best student per county, a sub-county, and so on. I produced the same, the best, so it became school-centered. I hope you get me. That is when it was changed from that. And it became, and during Moi's time, it just happened that during Moi's time, uh, you could notice a trend because by that time I was schooling, not schooling, I was working, not only working, I was working in intelligence. You could notice that every year when the election, oh no, not election, every year when the results come out, every year when the results come out, they come out that the district that Baringo, every year Baringo was leading, and the district that the Minister for Education came from. If this year the Minister for Education came from Kakamega, you'd find that when the results are coming out, Baringo and Kakamega were leading. Plus, there were some districts like Nyandarua. Nyandarua, somehow, every year, you see, Nyandarua is not Baringo. And I don't think Nyandarua ever produced a minister for education. But among the 10 leading schools, 3 were there. One was Nyandarua, one was Baringo, and one was the current minister for education came from whatever. But I'm told that there was as the results were coming in, there was tabulation that they used to do whatever. That one can only be explained by somebody, an expert in education, and not somebody outside education. Another way of exam stealing that happened that I noticed during the time that I was a detective is that exams were being done in a very different way. Um, why why cram for an exam that can be changed in the last minute or anything? It used to happen this way, and I came across such things. You know, there's a difference between uh, NIS and DCI. So me, I used to investigate from an NIS perspective. DCI, you investigate, you find anything, people appear in court. NIS, you behave. Somebody just wonders, you are always passing there, things are happening, you don't know what is happening. But in NIS, you are getting everything. And the trick is for the people not to know that you know anything. Imagine ati ni kachero na tunafanya vitu peupe tu na hakuna kitu anafanya. That is the difference between NIS and DCI. Now, some clever Kenyans used to do this when I was in NIS, and I used to notice that a parent, let me say a father, because there are very few cases of mothers. A father would just let the kid do the exam. When the exam are about to be end, he would tell his son or daughter, "Give me your index number." Then he gets the index number, silently goes to Mutiani house. The kid says, "Hey, nilikuwa hata nafikiri nitapata division 3, that is a C. Kumbe nimepata division 2." Kumbe nimepata division 2. So that is how they used to do that. But I always say that it is always good to get a D, donkey, or Denmark. Let me use the word Denmark. It's good to get Denmark from your own head, because you'll improve it with time, other than getting a Britain B, and then you are taken to the university and you embarrass yourself. I also wanted to talk about repeating. It is something that my headmaster, you call them principal nowadays, my headmaster, the late Mr. Gakuria, was very much against. During our time, when you failed in Form 4, you would repeat. That is why we have today a system where the results are there in December and registration is in February, so that in those 2 months you can go back and register again if you wanted to repeat. But Mr. Gakuria used to tell us, if for 4 years you failed to do it, what magic can come so that you pass it in 2 years? I have seen a situation where oh no, nowadays not have seen a situation. Sorry of talking through things through my mind, and also my age, I get scrambled. But please, the little knowledge you get from here, forget about my confusion, because even if you are to learn 2 points here, that is enough. Mr. Gakuria used to, during our time, we used to repeat only 1 year, and Mr. Gakuria was against it. But later on, the NEC said that if you have to repeat, you have to repeat in Form 3 for 2 years. I know of a young boy called Ben. He repeated. He got a D plus, and then he repeated in another school and got a C plus. I mentored him a lot when he was repeating, because you get a D plus and then you repeat. I even asked him, when you repeated, the class you went into, first of all, there are those who are very brave, they repeat in the very same school. You have to be very brave to do that. Not minding also that your age mates have now bypassed you, but he repeated in a different school. And when he did his exam, I've told you that he got better than what he got in the first place. I asked him, in the school you went, the second school you went for repeating, did you, how many of you were there? He said that 5 of them repeated. 5 of them repeated. 2 of them reached somewhere. They got tired, and you see, after completing Form 4, he had an identity card and he could walk whatever. Now he went back to boarding life, so they refused. 2 of them didn't do that. And then of the 3 remaining, 2 of them, including Benson, got better than what he got in the first year. The other one got exactly what he got the other time. And I told him that he was lucky because some usually get worse than what he got in the last exam. That, viewers, is today's issue about exam cheating for the 50 years between 1975 and 2025. With those four very many remarks, thank you.